G'day, Simo and Ed here, and we're going to talk about the value of your track.
Absolutely, we are.
Yeah.
This is the second video of a two-parter, and we're just going to pull together a couple of the themes from the last video, which are really, really important for track owners, but also just bring it back down to something very pragmatic, something you can get your hands on, some changes you can make today for your £1 million or dollar exit strategy. Is it worth $1 million today? I think it's worth more than that, but let's go for $1 million and see where we go from there.
Sounds good to me. So, you listen to Simo and Ed, and this is the Fastline Track Growth Show, where we talk all things karting and business.
We do indeed.
And we're talking about valuing your track today.
We are.
The second part. So, we kept harping on about 3 key areas in the last video. Senior management, systems, and the story.
Yeah.
So, triple S.
We love alliterative wording, don't we? Senior management systems, we call it the 3S and story. The 3S system. We could wrap this up in a system. Yeah, so we talked a little bit about what different people you might want to think about attracting to come and buy your track, and the 3 areas we're going to look at. Crikey, there's just a few things that just need sorting out. I think a lot of people, they come to look at selling their tracks sometimes because they've just had enough of the place.
Yeah.
They turn up, they don't like the track because it's just hassle, the staff don't like them, the customers don't like them. You go, well, this is terrible. Okay, I'm earning a little bit of money, but I'm turning up somewhere and nobody likes me. Do you know what? Sell it. I'm going to show them all. The difficulty is if you're in that stage in business, or even if you're not, there's lessons and value in it, but if you're at that stage in business, we're still going to sort out the 3 S's, to give it value and to go and realise the full potential of your track, because most tracks, they're just really not worth $1 million.
No.
Even when you think it is. Let's get stuck into a couple of things. You like bloody staff, as they say over in the UK.
Yep.
Like even Simo let out an involuntary staff.
It's you go to groups of business owners.
Yeah.
Right, and it doesn't matter where it is.
Yeah.
I think the number one pain point is bloody staff.
Yes.
Can't get enough of them.
Yep.
They don't do the job we want them to. It's a nightmare trying to organise them on a rota.
They do crazy shit when they actually, I've just told them 100 times, they still went ahead and did this. I've told them a million times.
Yep. Did a video on that, didn't we?
We might have done. It's a common occurring theme in any business, but we certainly see it at kart tracks.
How do you recruit good staff?
Yeah, it's that, and you might have good staff, but sometimes you just get that organisational chaos. So you're turning up and you've almost, you get what you tolerate in life, let alone business, but you get what you tolerate down at your track. So it might just have become the norm that actually most weekends this happens and we always muddle through, and don't worry because it's all done. We pulled together today, team, yay, high five, and we're off again. Instead of actually stepping back and going, why the hell are we having these problems every weekend? Let's sort out what happens on a Saturday. Right, team, let's huddle together. We're going to find a new way. And in finding a new way and getting the staffing sorted and getting it all to work together as a team and understanding what that looks like, you're adding huge value to your track. So, I don't know, was it about a month ago? We talked about 3 pillars of business for your go-kart track that make it successful. And one of those is value. I'm not going to tell you what the other 2 are. You can go watch the video. But this is where you build the value in your track. And this is what potential purchasers are buying into, the value in your track. So getting the right staff on board, letting them understand all the processes and procedures, stopping the little bits and pieces that happen that we've all come to know and love and accept and tolerate, and some heroes there pulling it out the bag every weekend, which is great until they go off ill or on holiday. Yeah. All this has got to stop, because in doing that you're now adding so much more value to your business. And it's not just, let's say it's a problem that is $1,000 a week, right, just to keep the numbers simple. Fixing it isn't worth $1,000 to the potential purchaser of that business. fixing a £1,000 or dollar problem is worth 5, 10, 20,000 pounds to them, or sometimes more, because you fix the problem properly and there's something now they can buy into.
Well, if it's £1,000 problem a week,
yeah,
you fix it. You've added £52,000 to the bottom line.
That's right. And then if you're buying on a multiple, and I don't know what the multiple is for your, I know roughly for some kart tracks in the UK, but worldwide I don't know what they are, and it will vary country to country. But let's just go on, I'm just going to pluck a figure out here, but on a 3 multiple figure, that's worth 150,000. So the effort and the work done here now is worth so much more to a purchaser. So it's absolutely worth investing a little bit of time, thought, energy, money behind this.
Absolutely.
So we've got the staff under control.
Yeah. And I mean, then you've got erratic sales. So you can be, at the moment we're hearing stories of, well, it's flat out on the weekends.
Yeah.
There's no space, but the rest of the week we're empty.
Yeah.
And it's how do you turn that money tap on in the slow times?
Yeah, so if you're going to come and buy a business, if you put yourself in the shoes of the buyer, and they come up and they're having a look at the, let's say they're saying I want till receipts for every day of the week, right? And I want it over a 13-week period, because that'd be quite indicative of how your track is operating. And they start to notice the pattern, and they go, oh, so you're really busy at the weekend and you're not so busy in the week. And they go, yeah, that's how this track operates. Great, okay. So why were you busy at the weekend? Perfectly valid question. If you don't understand what's driving your sales, or you didn't have the control over it, right? They're going, what did you do? What, you just threw the doors open and they came? Right, so you want me to go and invest $1 million into your business because you just threw the doors open and they just turned up? What, is this how this works? So you've got to develop a predictable sales generation machine, the tap that you turn on and off in your business, because that bit is saleable.
Yeah.
I don't care if you've got, let's take some crazy examples. Let's say I've got a track doing 100,000 a year and one doing $1 million a year. And they go, what's the track worth? They go, well, I do $1 million a year, I just want $1 million for it. And I've got the track doing 100,000 going, well, I want $2 million for it. I might still go for the 2 million track if they can tell me what's driving the sales figures, and if I believe I can get to generate, and I don't need 2 million a year if I'm buying it for 2 mil, if I can get to a level that's generating me enough profit and spare cash whenever all the taxes are done out of that I can finance it or pay the finance on it, I'll be more interested in the £100,000 track with systems who understands what's happening and who's coming through the door than the £1 million track who just threw the doors open and go, they always just turn up.
The issue with, a centre that does that, just opens the doors and they just turn up, right, is that you don't need to buy it.
Yeah.
You just need to find a location like that and do the same thing.
Yep, possibly. But you're right.
You know.
The problem is the factors aren't understood, are they?
No.
So I don't know that, and the track owner may not know. We're in a small town, and actually there's not a lot to do, so everybody just turns up here. I'm only a mile off the main road that goes through the whole of the town, and it's just dead easy because all the infrastructure comes right past the front door. There'll be hundreds of factors around this, and if you sat down in your story, it's just like, I don't really know what it is, but I suspect it's a bit of this, a bit of that, a bit of that. I'm suddenly very nervous as a buyer. If you sit down and you go, well, what was really driving this? Oh, we've got this great marketing campaign that we run here, and every time we run it, it generates this much worth of income. And here's the 3 times we ran it this year, and you can see the corresponding revenue spikes, and here's the visitor numbers. And then you look at food and beverages and how they were, right? And great. And you're not busy in the middle of the week? No. Oh, I'm interested now. Can I go and generate a little bit of extra income off this? Maybe strip out one of the highest costs of the business, the owner potentially. Yeah. Take that to go and refinance it, and then go and make my own growth in there in the midweek to go and generate something for me. I'm suddenly a lot more interested in that track. So it presupposes that you've got that magic tap. You know what's driving your sales. You know roughly how to go and, or roughly or precisely potentially, how to go and generate income for your track using tried and tested methods. Give me that any day of the week.
Well, that makes it much more attractive.
It does.
You know.
It really does.
So if you've got a business that's got the staff under control, everyone knows where they're going. They can generate revenue whenever they want because they understand the customer.
Yeah.
And they understand the market, the message, the media. You know, that is highly valuable.
Huge.
You know?
This is what people should really be buying into. Quite often, if you're looking to sell it, like great examples of the franchise market. So I've got one of my other clients at the moment that's thinking about buying a franchise. It ties in rather well to something they're doing. And I've had a couple of conversations with a couple of franchisors, and I'm sat chatting to them, and they're just like, "This is great. We've built all this stuff, and this is how it all works. This is what we do." And I go, "Great. What's driving the growth?" And it suddenly goes really quiet. And I've got my client going, "What are you recommending?" Again, I can't recommend anything other than don't spend your money on it because. So this is what's worrying me, and it comes around that predictable sales. And as soon as they've got an idea of what's driving it, that's more interesting. They could pay a lot more money for that. And the price for franchises is, I think they just make them up. Right? I can't work out how they work out what a franchise is worth. Right? I think at the highest level, McDonald's and all the rest of it, they're really on this. Right? So, but I think I think I'm right. Time of filming, I think it's like £1 million now for a McDonald's franchise. Right? And it's worth every penny. I'm not getting sponsored by McDonald's, by the way. I've got a physique. But they're worth every penny because they will go, if you put your store here, we can make this work. And this is roughly how much you'll go and earn within $100 or pounds because they really understand the whole process. So suddenly that becomes worth $1 million. You could have like some company setting up, and I've seen a couple of these. I'm just trying to think, but there's somebody that does like cards and chocolate and stuff. And they're just like, well, you just go around like the local town, and this is where you drop bits and pieces off, and then you'll generate 30k a year. And how much you want for this franchise? 50,000. And you're like, oh, just like, there's nothing behind it. In the karting world, you have the ability to create this, right? So if you're sitting there and you don't know what's driving your sales, or don't have an inkling of a way to go and generate 10,000 very quickly, as a prime example. If I had to sit down and go, how do you generate an extra 10,000 in the next 7 days, and you're not sure how you do that, you need to reach out and have a conversation with us. You've got to get this in here, not because of 10,000, but because of what it does for the value of your business, to get it ready for potential exit.
Yeah. And I mean, it's always a good thing, even if you don't intend to sell, to do these things.
It's a really smart idea to get your business ready for sale, even if you never intend to sell it.
It just makes it run easier.
Yeah, it instills really good practice, and it makes your decision making a lot easier. You speed up your efficiencies in your business because you just know, like, well, actually that fits because it fits with making our business more valuable and better for a resale. And anything outside of that, I'm not interested. So then when you get the salespeople ringer, I'm a big fan of meeting salespeople. But they come and sit down and they go, all the rest of it go, it doesn't fit in with what I'm looking to do. And they look at you like you're crazy, but this is the best thing ever. And the salesperson can't get their head around it because quite often they're not self-employed or they don't have a business that's of any size. Yeah, it just doesn't fit in with my investing criteria. So, no, I'm not investing in that. And then others things that might surprise some of the staff I'm really interested in. I'm like, that's where we're at.
Yeah.
This is going to provide huge value. This instills the proper discipline, moves us in the right direction. This is what we head for. Now, if I can get my management team to understand and think like that, and as the business owner, that's where I really want to spend most of my focus. And they understand culturally how we operate, and as a vision, strategically, what we're trying to achieve, and you can combine that together, they make huge decisions. Yeah. And then when somebody comes on and says, I want to buy your business, you go, great. They go, what have you got there? Well, I've got a great management team. They make the right decisions at least 80% of the time. Right? I'll take that because that's probably like most people make the right decision about 80% of the time. I can buy that business. That's really interesting to me. And not only will they make that right decision, they'll do it in a way that you can recognise from this document. Do you want to buy that?
Yeah.
I'm buying this business. I'm going to find the money. I'm going to start selling my car, my house, everything to come and do this. This would be more really exciting, more interesting to me.
And the other area is, these kart track owners feeling stuck.
Yeah, we just touched on something really here. There's there's a theme that won't be potentially obvious through this video at the moment, but I just want to touch on. We talked about the staff, we've talked about erratic sales, we've talked about the story, and that will pretty much come from what we've just touched upon earlier. But there's just one bit around feeling stuck in your business. We talked about overwhelming in prior videos, and if you are in a state of overwhelm and you're sat here because you're thinking, I want to get out of my business, I was looking for an answer today that removes me from this pain of I just turn up, leaving the track feeling like I haven't achieved anything, coming in with an idea of what I'm going to do that day, but somehow day after day, week after week, it doesn't get done, right? Then you're in that moment where you're feeling stuck and you're going, right, sod it, I'm going to go and sell my business. And then you go, it's worth $1 million because I've got all these assets and I've got this, and I throw the doors open like that, and now you're possibly even feeling more stuck right now, right? This is sort of it's on the same area around generating. Well, I'll look at it from a cash flow point of view. I do. Meeting the obligations of debt if we're looking for a sale of a business is a really cool thing to have a look at in your business that will help determine the way forward. But if you are in that moment where you're feeling stuck, it's understanding how to go and generate some time for yourself first of all, so you can manoeuvre. And it's understanding really what you're about so that your staff will go, I know what the track owner's about. I can start to make some better decisions. Right? Yeah,
and there are a lot of truck owners in this position. It's we've referred to it in other videos, working in your business, not on your business. And this with being stuck there. You have to cover for the marshals. You have to cover for the counter staff. You've got to answer the phones. You've got to do your mechanicking.
Yeah. There's a big complaint come in, and you need to handle it all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Got people working for you.
You've got to do the ordering.
Yeah.
Now, the big problem with that, there's only one big problem with that, and that's you.
Yeah.
Because if you sell the business, who is going to do it then?
Exactly.
And how are they going to do it? And that's the big disconnect. So, that is why it's important to have that senior management team that you can delegate to. You need those systems and procedures. So that every day these checks need to be done on the track, the carts, to make sure everything's safe. This is the maintenance routine for the carts.
Yeah.
Right, these are the stock levels for the parts you should have. This is a stock level for all the front house stuff. This is a stock level for the cafe. And this is how you buy it. This is who you buy it from. All of that. It may seem stupid, but
no, it's not.
Hey, if you could go in there and the owner could walk out the door the day he gets his money and hands out his keys, and that business does not change.
Yeah.
Sales don't drop. The staff know what they're doing. Senior management team know what they're doing. There's systems, procedures, so you can walk in on the first day and go, right, how do I do this? And one of the senior managers just go, here you go.
I've done it.
This is the step-by-step process of how you
hopefully
open up in the morning.
or hopefully they're going, this is how I did it. And it's been documented here, and actually I want to catch up with you because I've got an idea on how we can take this forward. That is the perfect place to be. Now, so this is a really important point, because if you're looking at selling your business and you're thinking, right, I'm going to retire here, and we're moving forward to retirement day, sell my business, lots of people think they sell the business here and they go and sit on the yacht, go fishing, chill out and do whatever they want to go and do. But the reality is, so many people end up having to stay in the business for like 18 months, 2 years, 3 years, because there's the handover period. But that handover period is horrible.
And you don't need that handover period
if you've done it
if you've got everything in place.
Yeah, because if you haven't got everything lined up, your handover period becomes administrative.
It becomes a bloody nightmare, because you've got to do those jobs you should have done beforehand, all in your handover period.
Yeah, and if you haven't thought through...
When your heart's not in it.
But exactly, but also, not just that your heart's not in it, if you've got, if it's like the organisational chaos where, this happens on a Saturday and we'll always muddle through, right, and you've got the person who just bought your business and you go, how do you do this? We'll just muddle through. Thinking, what do you mean? I've just spent £1 million on your track. What do you mean just muddle through? That's not a system. You tell us how you fix it. And now the pressure's back on you. Now, you're probably thinking, well, I've sold it and I'm out. Well,
but it's not usually that way.
Usually
there's an exit strategy. You get this when we change ownership. Then a year later you get this. Then a year later you get this, and then
the final back end payment, cheerio, out the door. So you're not in a position suddenly where A, you haven't got the control you used to have. Secondly, you're now doing a job that you hate. Right? And thirdly, you're just sitting there going, I need more payout. And I've heard regularly of people, and I've met a couple who just said, I was promised X, and within 6 months I've walked and told them to forget the bonuses because I've just done enough to go and it's not as much money as I'd have liked, but they can have it, and I couldn't just step back in that business anymore, and it's the whole relationship has just sunk down.
Yeah.
So if you start getting your head around this earlier, well, first of all, you don't have to do it yourself. You can get others involved in it. You get that sorted. Crikey, your heart is in it right up to that point, and you can walk away. If they're trying to keep you on for another 12 months, 2 years, 3 years, which is entirely possible, you can go, to do what? Give me the scenarios. And if every scenario has an answer... I'll be sitting there going, it feels like my business is worth more than I ever thought it was, because I seem to have covered every single base you're asking me for. Hey, this is how we do it, this is how we do it. Let me call the management team in. How would you tackle that? See, they're getting the same answer I've just given you. You don't need me. I can make a clean break now. Run for the hills. Go fishing.
And, I mean, if you do this as you're growing, all of a sudden... your life becomes a lot easier, especially if you're in that stuck position. You start doing some of this, your life becomes easier, and you might actually fall back in love with your business.
Yes, I've had that happen with one of my clients.
I've had that happen myself.
What, with the business?
Yeah,
cool.
I mean, I know. Let's go back 2017.
Yeah.
I used to call this place the black hole.
Oh, really?
I would plan what I'm going to do on the way to work. Yes, right. Yeah, get down. I'd walk in the door.
Yeah.
And the plan would stay outside.
Yeah.
I'd walk into the door. The plan would walk out the door, and I'd get to the end of the day. I've been really busy.
Yeah.
But what I've been busy at? Busy at being a bloody fool.
Yeah. Oh.
We restructured. We got rid of people who didn't believe in the story, our vision of what we wanted to do. We started looking at the way we do things and, started building up all of those different things. So we started putting some management in position. We started building up our systems and our procedures, and then all of a sudden, it became a lot easier.
Yeah.
And I could not turn up to work one day and there wouldn't be a disaster waiting for me the following day when I did show up.
Yeah.
And I fell back in love with my business.
I've been through something similar in mine. It's such a nice feeling, isn't it? The big takeaway from me today really is you don't have to feel stuck at your track to go and get some proper help and advice. It's the things that will really be playing on your head where you've got to be starting to think about this. If you're looking to sell your business, this is a really cool thing to do. But if you've ever had those moments where you're looking at ways to go and pay your staff this month, where you've thought, I'd be better off getting a job, where you maybe got rental cost increases are coming in, where key members of staff are holding so much power that you worry that the whole business is hinging off them, right? This is where this stuff becomes really important. So you don't have to feel completely stuck. But if anything I've just said in the last few sentences sounds like the sort of stuff that's going on in your track, this is also aimed at you because that discipline of getting ready for the sale, doing the right stuff repeatedly, you do get out of the black hole, as you call it, and you have those moments very quickly where you turn around and go, oh, this feels like a different business already. And you do fall in love with your business again, don't you?
Yeah.
Ah, bliss.
Yesterday we had a bit of a disaster.
Mm-hmm.
We lost a day's worth of our account system.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it wasn't as if the building was on fire.
No.
It was like, right, okay, we got our backup.
Yep.
We worked out, we've got a team here that worked out a process. I mean, Tim was great. I mean, I've got the backup happening, or getting the backup restored. Yep. I've come downstairs, he's printed off all of this stuff, right? And he said, right, here are all the sales ledgers and this is what's going to have to be redone. Here's all of the payment ledgers and this is what's going to have to be done. Here's all of the purchasing ledgers and here's what got to be done. So before we even had the backup put in, Tim had formulated a plan
how to get it all back into line.
Of how to get it all back in line.
That's
now that would have been my problem back in 2017.
Oh really?
Yeah.
No, never on my watch.
So, and the good news is we have 6 unique tools to help you get that £1 million exit strategy.
I've been down here for the last couple of days. I was here yesterday and this morning. We were formulating this conversation around really something we talked about, what makes a car track more valuable, and we looked at that in deep terms. And these conversations that we've just done over the last couple of videos has come out of that. On the back of that, we've developed 6 tools that are going to make your track exit for £1 million so much easier. So we've got new tools that are going to work really, really well at getting that moving forward. You don't have to be sitting there feeling stuck on your own. That's just the worst place to be ever in business. But equally, if you're not feeling stuck on your own in business that there's people around you, but you recognise some of the problems that are happening, we've got a really cool idea on why that is happening and the tools to get you through that really quickly instead of you having to feel around constantly and trying to work out what's really going on. So it'd be really cool to go and check those out if anything we've said is resonating with you today.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So it's goodbye from me.
Cheerio from me.
And we'll see you next week.